A wise man once said, the true history of the world is a history of great conversations.
Who said this?
Me.
3, 2, 1. Game.
Hi, everybody.
All right. Let's do that again.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Space Camp Podcast. Today, I am hosting. My name is Kyle. I'm also joined by a very special guest today. His name is Torsten.
I'm not a goddamn guest, dude.
Well, I mean, like, after all that legal stuff, like, you technically have to be a guest because I'm the sole owner and proprietor.
Well, luckily we're
everyone talk about this on air.
Luckily, we're not going to make any money on this, so
Yeah, that's what you
have
say.
sole rights for this episode.
They've been used. So I got approached by a potential
HBO?
sponsor. It is the Chinese government, and they want to use apparently our recordings to teach English language in school.
You can make a lot of money doing that.
He offered me $12.
Exactly.
You can get like a burrito with that, man.
You can probably get 2 burritos if you go to the right place.
God damn it, dude! I last time I said, like, you're gonna save like $5 a day if you're fasting, and you're like, where are you gonna get stuff for $5?
Yeah, but we're talking quality.
Not that cheap Chipotle shit. Getting that real Qdoba stuff.
I do actually like Qdoba a little bit more so. Just because you get free guac. You can add those little chips in there. Hot sauce.
They both have hot sauce, man. The one thing that Qdoba has that is the best is that cheese sauce that they have.
The cheese sauce that they have. Oh, yeah, the queso sauce. You can
Yeah,
do that
man.
at Chipotle, too.
Yeah, but it probably tastes like trash, just like everything else. Chipotle is trash, to be honest. That's why everybody gets like diseases that haven't been seen on Earth in like 7,000 years. Someone gets like Ebola type 4, and you're just like, that's a new disease.
Wasn't it just salmonella?
No, it was like a bunch of stuff.
Nobody got Ebola from eating a burrito. Yeah, their eyes are bleeding. I shouldn't have eaten there.
I wanted to prove a point, and I was proven wrong.
Yeah, I don't think anybody's gotten Ebola.
No.
It probably. I wonder what is the worst kind of ailment. Well, probably someone died because they ate something bad. Yeah,
Nematodes, dude. Nematodes are by far the worst thing you can get from eating food. You know what they do?
What's a nematode?
So it's like a little worm type thing, but it's not a worm. You can get this if you eat fish that's raw and it's not handled correctly. Because what they do is their goal is to be a parasite inside of like a whale or something. So they grow in these fish in like the early stages, and then they wait until those fish are eaten, and then they grow huge. But you can, if a person gets them, they embed themselves in like your intestines and start burrowing through your intestines, like out your body.
Oh, is that something different from like having tapeworms?
Yeah, they're different.
A good thing I asked the right questions to the right person. Yeah, they're different. Yeah, that's what they used to take in like Seabiscuit. A lot of those horse jockeys, they would take tapeworms so they could lose weight.
Why would they just not eat?
Because you can eat as much as you want, and the tapeworm eats it all, and you have no nutrition. You lose weight.
Yeah, why not just fast then? Then you don't have to pay for food.
Because then you don't have to use willpower.
I'm sure those little tiny jockey dudes got plenty of willpower, right?
Yeah, but the more willpower you use, the less you have available, right?
No, that's a damn lie. But those little tiny jockey midget freaks, yeah, dude.
Well, think about it. If you go through an entire day, you wake up early, say you do whatever you do in the morning, you go through an entire day of work, and you're tired and exhausted, and then you go and work out after work, and then you have to go and, like, I don't know, your significant other wants you to clean the entire house. Are you more or less motivated after doing all the additional stuff before it?
I think motivated is a binary. You're either motivated or...
Yeah.
Have you ever listened to Jocko?
Yeah.
What would he say about that?
you're just gonna do it or you're not gonna do it.
That dude's a nuts. That dude is just a freak of nature.
I was listening to some of his earlier stuff, and he was talking. Someone like, "Oh, can you send us your workout?" And he's like, he kind of deferred. He didn't want to like put together his entire workout. But then he was just casually talking later on. He's like, "Yeah, when I don't have my weights or I don't have access to a gym, then I'll just be in the hotel room and I'll get just get a workout in, do like 300 burpees." I'm like, holy shit, 300 burpees?
Dude, 10 burpees is like plenty of burpees.
Yeah.
That's nuts, man. That guy just has like motivation on a different level.
Yeah. I'm sure. Yeah. Because they push you beyond what you like the normal guy. Like, I'm tired, so I'm going to stop. It's like someone screaming in your face.
And then like you can get like court-martialed or something if you say no to them and stuff.
Do you really? In boot camp?
I think, well, maybe not boot camp, but
then you'd probably get a dishonorable discharge or something.
Yeah, that probably wouldn't be great.
I'm not getting up. Okay.
I was reading. There's a book of like the original. Like, you ever seen the movie Super Troopers?
Yeah.
So I read like the book that movie's based on.
Yeah.
And it's like just a super military book. But in that book, like if you disobeyed in this might be true of the real military. If you struck your training person, whatever they're called, your drill sergeant, you get executed.
Wow. Is the book like the real thing and then the movie is just a parody on it?
No, like kind of like the book and the movie are not even related. Like it doesn't seem, except for like they happen in the same places sometimes.
Huh.
But like the book is actually really interesting. It's kind of like this guy started in the military like straight out of high school because like a girl that he wanted to try to hook up with also went to the military, and then he ended up like being recruited into like the Space Marines, which is like the most hardcore people. Like 20,000 people started this training and like only 200 got through, and like 30% of people die during it or something. But
I think I was. What's the other movie? The comedy, the Super Troopers, the police guys.
Oh yeah, is that what you were thinking of?
That's what I was thinking of. I'm like trying to piece it together. I'm like, what are you talking about? Space?
Starship Troopers,
Space?
Or Super Troopers,
Starship Troopers, right? That's what you were talking about.
Yeah, did I say Super Troopers though? I might have.
You said Super Troopers. I was like, I was trying to figure it out. But
yeah, sorry.
I'm glad you said that because I was just talking to this guy randomly, and he mentioned that they're creating a space force.
Yeah,
there's been all these discussions about it. I wonder, are they just going to take existing NASA technology and then go off on their own?
It seems like, well, NASA's like owned by the government, right? So like they own all that stuff. And apparently there already is like a space branch of the Air Force, but they're basically saying like the Air Force is for in atmosphere defense or whatever military, and then space would be like extra planetary out of the atmosphere. Do you think that's a good idea? Do you think I
think that's a great idea. I love the idea that they're doing that.
That's super necessary, I think, too.
And it's kind of like it's the next great unknown.
Oh yeah, definitely.
In terms of, in the past, Christopher Columbus coming over to sail into the new world, the unknown, and constantly going off and trying to learn and understand something that you're not aware of. And now it's like we've almost explored almost everything, right, on this planet. I mean, obviously there's an endless amount of
stuff.
And then there's just an endless amount of stuff that continues to arise that you can find out more about and dig into. But I think the next great frontier to explore is space. And so I like the idea that the government is getting involved and taking it seriously.
Yeah, I think it's super important. Actually, I bought the official Space Force hat.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I just got it in the mail yesterday, so it's kind of funny that you brought this up.
So people are gonna be like, "Oh, thanks for your service." Like, I'm not related to that at all. I just like the idea.
I just think it's a good idea, guys. Like,
someone buys you a beer at a bar. thank you so much. Like, no, I don't actually. I just support them.
So apparently it's not being fully like it's still in the planning stages, and it's not going to be rolled out until like 2020.
Until 2020. Okay.
Yeah. So sometime next year is when it'll like become an official branch. Apparently.
Does Elon Musk open source all of their technology stuff with SpaceX?
That's a great.
He's done that with a few of his companies, right? With like Tesla.
He's done it with Tesla.
Well, with different components of Tesla.
So you could just like build your own Tesla from his open source documents.
I maybe build a battery or something, or maybe even build the entire car. I'm not exactly sure.
See, that'd be amazing because I think patents are stupid, to be honest. That'd be amazing if he does do that. That'd be incredible, and that'd make me respect him even more.
Let's say you had a great idea and you had this small company and you were just selling, your idea and making a comfortable living, and then some bigger company comes over and just snatches your idea, makes it way cheaper for their plants in Pakistan or China, and then you're out of a job.
Well, that's what happens. It's always a race to the bottom. That's the best for the consumer, right?
Yeah, but in this context, you are protected by the patent.
But like, right? If you're a small company, like, are you really protected by the patent?
Oh,
are you going to be able to afford to take a huge corporation to court and fight the patent?
Who's the owner of the Jaguars?
Jacksonville Jaguars? I do not know.
Jaguars. Saeed Khan. He created a device that goes on the back of a truck, like some different component of a bumper that links a lot of components together, actually. So it's just one part instead of multiple parts. And then I think some other company just tried to rip him off, but he had a patent on there. And so he was running his own company, and then he didn't have enough money to hire legal personnel. And so then he was going to the law library and studying law at night. And then he was combating the attorneys of this big corporation. And I think he ended up winning. And then there was some nice settlement that he got out of it.
That's amazing.
Isn't that a ridiculous story?
That is really good. So how come? So like he was the only one that can sell it? Was he like selling it for too expensive? Why would someone want to enter that arena?
Because it was just a way more efficient way of doing things.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So like he found an efficient way of doing things, made money off of it originally. Was this big corporation? Is this like a component that's like not worth a lot of money, or like how does that happen?
I believe it was maybe it was for a company that he was working for, and then he made it on the side or something.
I think I've heard about that before.
I'm not exactly sure about the exact details of it.
The reason why I think patents are dumb is if you have, let's say you have materials that you own, right? Yeah. Someone's going to tell you that you can't put those materials together in a certain way because someone thought of it first. Does that make sense?
Well, what about this? If you wrote a book and you have the copyright rights to it, and then someone else copies it exactly, but they're better at distributing it, and they say it's their own. That what's the problem with them recreating exactly what you did and making money off of what you created already?
Because do you think they'd get away with that?
I'm sure they could. Yeah.
You don't think with like how easy it is to reach large audiences that like they wouldn't be called out immediately?
Well, I think that's like the whole protection of it.
I would say like societal protection would be enough. Like, would you buy the book that is like sold for $2 cheaper that you know that they just literally copied a book from someone else? Or would you be like, that's a scummy move, I'm not going to buy from you?
I think there's a lot of variables in there. I think it is a scummy move, but I think that just exemplifies the point that you still want some protection towards your ideas.
I think the problems caused by it are vastly outweigh the situations where like those small things would happen.
What I mean, I guess you could look at like China, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're in a position where they just go and they steal intellectual property left and right.
Yep.
Do you think that is valuable for the society to be able to do that?
Well, I think it gets improved upon quicker the more people that work on it. And
Yeah.
and that's here. This is the argument against that. So let's say you paint a great picture, right? And then you want to sell that picture. Someone wants to make copies of it and sell copies of the picture. Which one's going to be worth more, the original or the copies, like the picture of the picture? Because you can go get Van Gogh's Starry Night for $4 on a poster. And they didn't make that, right?
Yeah. Well, I think that's more of like the art versus
Well, so is a book, though. Like a book would be
mass production of something.
Yeah, well, there's definitely arguments for it. I think the laws get abused more than they protect the small person. Because do you know who holds the majority of patents, at least in the United States?
Is it just big corporations?
Yeah, like 99% of them or something.
That would make sense though, because they have the most amount of they're employing the most amount of people. And when their employees create ideas, it's under the umbrella of the company, and they made that possible, right?
Yeah, they're using the company's resources to make them. Yeah.
So I think that that makes sense.
Oh, it does make sense, but then does it make sense that like you can't copy it? Like you have all the material yourself, and they're going to tell you that you can't put the materials that you own together in a certain way because some large corporation already thought of that idea and filed some paperwork.
Well, you can, but you just can't profit from it, right?
No, you can't even make it because you have to buy it from them.
You can't make it? Really?
That's the whole point. Yeah.
I don't know about that. But anyway.
You can make it if you're like testing it, but you can't like if it's a commercially, like if you're using it for like recreation or commercial purposes, they'll sue you. Well, that's if they find you. I mean, you could probably just copy patents in your house and no one's going to know.
Yeah. And I think, yeah, exactly. So if you're going to just do your own thing at your house, build your own nuclear accelerator, then you should be good to do that because hopefully people don't notice unless like there's a big like mushroom cloud over your house.
Well, the thing that I think where it gets a pharmaceutical industry where they have like 10 years of sole rights to distribute like the way they put a chemical together.
Yeah, that seems a little messed up.
And then like imagine the people who maybe can't afford the medicine in the meantime. Like you're just shit out of luck or what?
Yeah, basically. My understanding. But I've been known to be wrong.
That's one thing we are known to be. It's wrong. So you want to talk a little bit about Game of Thrones here?
Yeah. What do you think? Who's going to be the next big character to die?
You want to just blow our load immediately?
Yeah.
I think Jon Snow's going to die.
Where did they end off at season 7?
So him and Daenerys were like,
on that ship.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, they're on that ship and they're going over to
the Iron Throne.
Are they going to the Iron Throne?
I thought so.
Well, they're going somewhere on a boat, and then they they're
going to White Harbor.
White Harbor, and then Peter Dinklage is watching them hook up, and he's jealous because Jon Snow gets to be with Daenerys.
Yeah, Dinklage likes her, right?
Oh yeah.
And then Daenerys is his aunt, right?
Yeah, which is kind of messed up.
Yeah, it's real messed up.
Why? But he's so much young. I mean, they're like the same age, though. Isn't that kind of weird?
Well, actually, she's supposed to be way younger than him.
How?
Like in the books, she's supposed to be like 14.
But if she's the aunt, wouldn't she have to be older?
No, because so his mom could be like 20 years apart in age from their sister, right?
Yeah.
So like let's say your brother is
60.
Yeah, 60. And then he has a daughter, that would be your aunt, right?
No, that'd be my niece. So it'd be my dad.
Yeah, but your niece would be so it's just the exact opposite. So he's the nephew. So his dad was way older than her parents.
Well, if you want any more exciting commentary, Kyle's gonna write that up for you.
Way older than her parents.
Yeah, I think Tyrion's a little bit miffed as far as the whole Jon and Daenerys getting together, and so I feel like he might turn, and you never really found out what happened at the end of the conversation between him and Cersei, when they were discussing how Cersei wanted was pregnant with her kid.
Yeah, that whose kid is that?
That's Jaime's.
Again? Another Jaime's kid?
Yeah.
Jeez. Yeah, you're right. Is he alive?
Yeah, Jaime got threatened by Cersei.
Oh yeah, and he left.
Yeah, she's just like, nobody walks away from me. And then they had that big bodybuilder guy, the Mountain, like pull out his sword. And Jaime's like, I don't believe you. And just walks off.
Oh yeah, I remember. That was awesome. Jaime's one of those guys that I really like as a character, but like he's a nasty dude, obviously. But he's like, it seems like he has honor overall, but then he makes some weird choices sometimes.
The character development in the show is ridiculous. He was this nasty person in the beginning, but then he gets so much more redeemable as the show progresses.
Yeah, I feel like the person who's probably always been like the solid ground and hasn't really changed that much, would you say is Tyrion?
No, because in the beginning he was just
a party boy.
Yeah,
but he was still kind of like he was still like a nice person, though. You know what I mean? Like it seemed like he's at least had a code. Like even when he was when he like married that prostitute, like he was still nice to her, and like he couldn't believe that she betrayed him. Remember?
Yeah. Well, he never married her, right?
Or he was living with it. He brought her home or something. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It was kind of messed up.
Yeah.
But it's interesting in terms of the entire show. One of the reasons I like it is because you have so many kind of chaotic situations going on. And I think that one of the gripping things about the show is that you can have all these likable characters that just get butchered.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
you're just not expecting that at all. And it's maybe the old Hollywood thing is the guy has the fight, he gets the girl, and they live happily ever after. Here it's almost the opposite in so many different circumstances, where the good guys are killed left and right, and then you have the bad guys who are continuing to persevere.
Yeah.
And there's all these wild situations, and how you can have an honorable character that gets killed because of their strict honorable code.
Yeah. Yeah, because they decided to stick to their beliefs, and that ends up getting them killed because they're too hard-headed to survive in this time frame or something.
Yeah, so it goes to like, it kind of brings a question in the with this fantasy world, like in today's world, I don't know how much people value someone's character, but even if you are in this fantasy world, it's kind of interesting to pursue that idea. Even if you are your character is unblemished, you can still have so many things that go wrong, and your family can be put in harm's way because of your code. And so it kind of brings up the question, like, what's the most meaningful way to live, in the show, but also how would you relate that to life too?
Yeah, it's a tough one, because you always want to try to live by your code the best you can, but I think there's definitely situations where you need to be able to improvise, and maybe being so hard-headed about a certain idea kind of almost does the opposite and like becomes an unhonorable thing,
Yeah. It's like, if you go, if you have this strict code, that was it Socrates, he ended up drinking the poison.
Yeah, I think so.
So you have Socrates that they want him to go and renege on some of the things he said or denounce something. And he has such a strict code that he would rather drink poison than go against his belief system.
Yeah. And I think that probably helped him become one of those like transcendent minds, right? Was that he was so firm in his beliefs.
Yeah. But how do you take the same thought process, the same philosophy, approach to life, and then how do you have that? How do you take that and then put it in a different setting? So, for example, in North Korea, if you're highly encouraged to tell on your family if they're doing something against the government.
Yeah.
And you can have this strict code, but within a different setting, within a different world, your strict code can get your family, your entire family decimated.
Yeah, that's what's messed up. That's why it's probably better to try to escape if you can, right? If you know you're in a situation like that. But
I think that it kind of goes to maybe like the rules of engagement or the rules of war too, because like, okay, we do have these strict codes in a place of peace, but then in times of war, you still have, the Geneva Convention codes and you still abide by certain codes, but you're allowed to kill.
Yes. Yeah,
So,
I think that's probably about right. Like you have to have different codes for different situations based on the stakes, right?
isn't that interesting though? Because then you have to be flexible with your code.
Yeah, well, I think most people probably are, and if
Maybe to too much of a degree.
inflexible with their codes.
Yeah.
I think because I think one of the things is people misjudge the stakes of certain situations. So like they'll change their code for something that seems dire that really is pretty mundane. Like change your code. Like talk about Hollywood, right? Like people who normally wouldn't sexually assault and rape people look the other way because this powerful guy controlled their career, and maybe getting fired from Miramax would seem like a big detrimental thing, but in reality, it might not be. You can go find a job, be happy somewhere else,
Yeah, and kind of protect the people that need the protection.
Exactly.
And then you also have the simple things like, I'm going to wake up tomorrow morning at 5 and I'm going to get a workout in. And then you wake up and you're like, oh man, I'm pretty tired. And you hit
I'm not
snooze
very
a couple
tired,
times.
just pretty tired. But yeah, it's just that comes down to discipline probably, because it seems like, oh, that extra 20 minutes of sleep is going to make me feel so much better. But like in actuality, does it?
Usually it makes me feel worse.
Yeah, like 90% of the time, if I go back to sleep, like I wake up even groggier.
Yeah, and then it carries throughout the entire day, and you're like, oh man, this is awful. For me, at least.
Have you ever noticed that too? Like if you ever just feel like maybe you're a little hungover or something, and you just get up and start moving, like you recover so fast.
Yeah, well, especially if you're hungover, and then if you snooze 10 times, you feel like dog shit the rest of the day. But if you are hungover and you just get up and you just fucking go, I think there's so much power to that.
Yeah, and it's weird that your body responds that way. That like you would think more rest would be better, but in reality, what you're doing is you're telling your body like, this is too much to go on, so I'm going to postpone it as long as I can. And that's kind of like the mentality you bring into the rest of the day. Versus if you wake up and say like, this is nothing, I can deal with this. This is a bunch of BS. I can get up and do it. Then your body kind of responds like, hey, this is nothing.
I think that goes into the attack versus react. So like even within like the Marines or within the military, the infantrymen who were told to wait, for the enemies to come and then, defend this position, you're sitting and waiting, and it is led to a situation where a lot of those people have so much more PTSD versus the SEALs and guys who go and they do these missions and they're proactive.
Yeah, where they have the terms of engagement are in their favor.
Yeah. So I wonder if there's a link there between waking up in the morning and you just getting after it versus, snoozing 10 times and then reacting to the day.
Yeah, probably actually. And just imagine like from a soldier's point of view, how much more stressful it is. Like if you have to sit and wait and like you're looking at everything, like, is this going to attack? Is this going to attack?
Yeah.
And that's just probably mentally draining, right?
Yeah. It's good inspiration for tomorrow. And then I'm just going to wake up and be like, I'm going to just sleep for another 15 minutes.
Yeah. I used to be a snoozing type, but then I kind of just stopped because I don't know. I just did. And like looking back, it's just kind of like I hate it. I hate that I like spent an extra 15 minutes a day just laying there.
Yeah. It's so much nicer for me. I feel 1,000 times better if I just get up and get going.
Yeah, just get on with the day. Don't sit there and dilly dally.
But going back to the idea over the show, the questioning of your code and your way of operating in the setting that you're in, I think that kind of naturally progresses into the book that we just read by Lamar Waldron. What's the entire book called?
The book was The Hidden History of the JFK Assassination, the definitive account of the most controversial crime of the 20th century.
First of all, what stuck out to me is I had not looked into the whole conspiracy too much. And I think I just accepted that there were a lot of inconsistencies and, things were hazy around Lee Harvey Oswald. Watching that movie about JFK with Kevin Costner kind of got me to think about it a little bit more. Is this, what is going on here? Is this just some like government CIA type of thing where the CIA just took the president out because of some particular agenda? But the book, the big surprise for me was how it wasn't necessarily the government that was pulling the strings. It was a clandestine organization, the mafia that began to pull the strings and get things moving forward. And the whole all of the things surrounding it were just blew my mind in terms of the level of connections and whatnot. What were your thoughts on it? Anything that surprised you?
Yeah, I think definitely the mafia kind of tentacles in every single, like with every single person connected to that is crazy. Like they all knew the big mob Don down in Louisiana. He had Carlos
Machello.
Yeah, Machello. And he had the largest organization in the United States. That's including corporations, right?
Yeah, I think his revenue or his income, his revenue was estimated to be larger than General Motors, the largest revenue generating company at the time, I believe. Yeah,
that's crazy.
And so he was pulling in multiple billion, something like that.
Yeah, I think you're right. Especially if you're talking about revenue, because that doesn't include your cost. But no, yeah, I think the thing that really surprised me is I knew that the government, just from like the research I've done, was involved in some way, but I didn't realize that the government basically through its own like crappy practices and like really focusing on trying to assassinate Fidel Castro were kind of
in a clandestine manner.
Yeah, where they were forced, like their hand was forced to cover up the mob's involvement in the assassination of John F. Kennedy.
Which was, absolutely wild. So it's like this whole plan that JFK was a part of, right? And RFK was a part of too.
Yeah. Yeah, because they were all trying to overthrow Castro down in Cuba. And there was a bunch of operations that the CIA was fronting. And one of the CIA's plans was to use the mafia to assassinate Castro. So that's how the mafia got roped into this. And then RFK apparently made the mistake of deporting the mob Don, right?
Yeah, maybe not. Well, I guess it inevitably was a mistake in terms of.
Well, yeah, I'm saying a mistake for their lives. Yeah,
yeah. And so with that, it was just wild how you can have someone like Carlos Machello and one of the largest, and to break that down, he's part of the oldest Italian mafia family that originated or that stemmed from Louisiana.
Yeah, he's in Louisiana, which is another thing that I didn't even know about. When you think of mafia people, like Chicago, New York, right?
Yeah. So that was surprising, but he was one of the oldest members of this old family, and so he had the most clout, it sounded like, within the mafioso, and ended up using that to orchestrate a hit on the president.
Yeah, and what was crazy too is how basically the exact same plan that happened in Dallas happened in Tampa and Chicago just literally a week and 2 weeks before. They had the same type of patsy sign like lined up, like a guy who served in the military. He entered the military too young. Apparently, the person defected to an enemy state, and then they got jobs at a tall building that just happened to be on the path of where the president was going.
Yeah.
In each city.
And it's wild, just the level of sophistication behind the mafia at that point in time. You know, billions of dollars in revenue, and your ability to just take control of all these different situations. You know, murdering people with impunity, it sounded like.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, just like the people connected to the case that have died, it's a staggering amount. It's crazy.
What would you say to someone who was just like, no, it was Lee Harvey Oswald? That's what it says on Wikipedia.
Well, I would just ask them questions. Like I would like to see how versed they are in the not even just the conspiracy, just in the data available, like just in the Warren Commission itself.
Yeah. It's just one of those things where you have something that's so driven by the media, and you know the ability of you know, people in government, higher powers in government, and then higher authorities in the mafia to just completely pull the wool over the public's eyes.
Yeah, and just have no idea. And yeah, I think just the craziest thing about it is how our own government could have to cover this up because they were involved in so many other nefarious activities that it might have started World War III.
Yeah. And I think, just that was the interesting thing about it. And the mafia planted all these red herring, linking it to Russia that the CIA felt like they had to cover up, and RFK went on a special agenda to cloud things and to take control of the information.
Well, even RFK thought it was the CIA originally, right? Didn't he call the director of the CIA and said it was one of your guys, wasn't it? Didn't he call him and say that?
Yeah, he did. But there were so many of the CIA that were in the pocket of Carlos Michello.
Yeah, and it seems like there was that rogue CIA agent who continued using the mafia after the plans were kind of nixed, right? He still continued on with the plan because he thought it would be a good backup to using the assassins from Cuba.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy. It just shows, like, if you play assassination games, you're at risk to get assassinated yourself.
Yeah. So it's like, it definitely backfired on the Kennedys.
I want to know why this is not like a widely known conspiracy, why all the facts are still hidden to this day.
I think it's just a certain level of not looking into things, you know? Because I didn't really think about this too deeply before having gone through that book.
Yeah, it's true. And imagine what else we could learn, like doing an even deeper dive. Like, is there other stuff that we're not seeing still?
Oh, I'm sure. I mean, this guy, you know, Waldron, spent 25 years of his life digging into this. You know, you could put so much time and energy, but I think he does just a great job of presenting the information. I'm really looking forward to the movie. I don't know when that's set to come out with good old Leo.
Really? I didn't hear about that.
I thought that was the case. I thought that Leonardo DiCaprio was coming out. Let's double check this. Maybe I'm wrong. JFK.
I didn't know he is. Legacy of Secrecy, maybe?
Legacy of Secrecy. Oh, okay. Well, maybe it's a different JFK thing.
Yeah, hopefully it's not just the standard story over again.
Yeah.
Unless that would be kind of funny if they made a satire about it, where they made everything in the Warren Commission 100% true, and that's how it happened.
Yeah.
I think that would be kind of funny, like in a kind of dark way. Like the bullet that needs to ricochet 5 times, then when it's finally found on the stretcher for some reason of the governor, it's just completely undamaged.
You basically need a cartoon to create something like that.
Yeah, it would be,
You'd
well, it's
think.
CGI now, but
Yeah.
you can make it. But then it just show, like, if you just showed the actual evidence in in real terms, people would understand how ridiculous it is.
Yeah. But yeah, I think it's just amazing, just the level of power that was going on, a power that was beyond the government, and you'd think the government is one of the strongest powers. And eventually, the mafia bosses begin to get put away. But the amount of freedom that they had, despite all the killings that they did, despite all the money that they stole, the racketeering, all of it, they were they were the ones in power.
Well, it's kind of like what Mexico is going through now, right? With the cartels in Central America,
Yeah, I
like El
guess, yeah.
Chapo and stuff. He can just, they finally put him in jail, and he escapes like a day later through like a tunnel that was already built. Like that was planned beforehand. Like that means whoever put him in that cell, like, probably wasn't involved, right?
Yeah. Well, and they probably got paid really well too.
Yeah, I'm sure they did. I mean, that story about El Chapo is he thought his daughter was cold, so he set money on fire to keep her warm. Like that dude had a lot of money.
But yeah, just the level of sophistication behind those organizations is impressive to me.
Well, you think about it, like, yeah, you probably think it's just a bunch of criminals, but no, like, in order to be successful, they probably need to be run just like a business, right?
Yeah.
Except for a business that can play by rules that other businesses can't.
And yeah, you almost have to be more clever.
Yeah, in order to avoid detection or know whose hand you need to not go to jail and not get caught, right?
Yeah. That's just absolutely insane to me. Just the ability to completely manipulate that scenario. And he rose up, from a family of nothing to being the number one crime boss.
Yeah, that's crazy. And then did you read at all or hear at all about his supposed what's it called? His confessions?
Yeah, the Camtex operation.
Yep. That seems super reliable, right? He doesn't know he's being listened to at all.
Maybe you can break it down a little bit if our one listener is there.
So yeah, so basically what happened is they found a guy who was actually like in jail because he was a good guy. He robbed a bank
with a magic marker or something, and a dirty bag of laundry and a magic marker or something.
Yeah, and he said that he had a bomb in the bag, and he actually got away, and he felt so guilty about it. He turned himself in the next day, and the cop said, like, yeah, you would have gotten away with it. We had no idea. So this guy was sentenced to what, 7 years? Because
it was like Jack Langdon.
Yeah, that was his name, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and that's an interesting point too, because someone did the honorable thing and spoke up and said that I made this mistake, and a truly, I don't know what the word is, a truly just society, I believe, would allow him to
return the money. Yeah.
Return the money and go about his life, because that's a person that you want in your society.
Yeah, a person who gets away with a crime and can't bear their own conscience, so has to go and turn themselves in.
But
the
enforcement doesn't see that. The judicial system doesn't see it that way, so they lock him up for 7 or 10 years.
Which is funny because he kind of had to play that he was turning into a hardened criminal, because he was approached by the FBI and convinced eventually, once he was told what this guy has done, what Mancello has done, to kind of be their inside ears. And he developed a friendship with him over like a 2-year period, being his roommate.
Yeah.
And then made some deals with him to get him moved to like nicer and nicer prisons
through the CIA
or through the FBI. And then eventually he was called upon to, because he always noticed that, like, whenever they talked about JFK, he always got worked up, right?
Yeah.
So then he kind of told the FBI about how he started acting, and they ended up giving him a bug inside of a radio, right?
Yeah.
And he happened to be talking about John F. Kennedy and Mancello admitted to having him killed. And then it happened again not too long later, right? Those are the only 2 times he's ever talked about it, apparently.
Yeah. Well, there are a lot of hints about it. But another interesting part was that when Langdon got out of jail, I think there was almost a hit put on him where these 2 mafia missiles, these guys get out of their car.
Yeah.
And they are beating the shit out of him, right?
Yeah.
Out of Jack Langdon.
Yep.
And some guy, civilian comes around the corner and the mafia guys run off. And then he keeps on telling the FBI that he needs protection, and they just don't really do anything, which is wild, you know?
Yeah, especially after he got you that confession, which ended up, so he confessed to something else, and that guy was in jail for the rest of his life, right?
Yeah, I think there were multiple confessions that came out, which it definitely helped out the FBI.
Yeah.
And they just kind of pushed him off to the side and didn't really honor their word, which is so scary.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because it just proves like they don't really care about you. Like they have their goal. And that seems to be like kind of the issue, like the overlying theme of this.
Yeah. Kind of the lies and deceit.
Yeah. Well, if you had to rank the book out of the books you've read in your life, what tier is this?
Out of like a 10 out of 10?
I would say like top tier, below average, or whatever. You could do 10 out of 10 if you want.
I would say it was a top tier book. Like there's so much insight that this guy put into it, and I think it was told in a engaging way. Yeah,
and he's a very logical thinker. This writer, which was great because there's so much information that he's trying to share with you. That is good that he was able to put it in such a concise manner.
Yeah, so I thought it was pretty good.
It was top tier. It was pretty good.
Pretty good. What would you rank it out of 10?
Out of 10? I would give it a 9.5.
What could he have done better?
I don't know. Maybe if it was in space.
Did you know that they say people who talk to themselves are smarter than those who don't?
Who says that?
I wasn't talking to you.
Oh, God. Dad joke hour, everybody.
Should we close things out?
Yeah, let's
pull up the random catchphrase generator.
Here we go. It looks like it might be relevant. Who knows? Picture revealed.
Picture revealed. That's perfect.
So what does that mean in context of what we just talked about?
I think that's when you are flipping through a Where's Waldo picture, and then you spot Waldo after searching for 5 minutes. And
like the feeling you get from that,
there's clarity, and you feel fantastic. You found Waldo. You understood what's going on in the picture. So that's actually perfect to the book, right? Yeah. Like just like it's that moment of clarity when you read it and you're like, holy crap, this is all like a thing that's connected and real. Picture revealed. The last one was let the maggot obtain sight of the rabbit. Oh yeah. This one's better. This one's relevant. Way better. Picture revealed, folks. Picture revealed. Yay!
The podcast you just heard was made using Anchor. Ever thought about making your own podcast? Anchor makes it really easy for anyone to get started. It's a one-stop shop for recording, hosting, and distributing podcasts. Best of all, it's 100% free. Sign up now at anchor.fm/new. That's anchor.fm/new to get started.